Hello everybody, welcome back to Rooney's Reviews. This week I will be reviewing Looper, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis. It was so good, I just want to go back in time and see it again. Wait. Alright everybody, I'm back from seeing Looper for the second time. Popcorn was a little stale this time. Soda was a little watery. Okay, so as you can tell from my intro, this is a time travel movie about a man named Joe, aka Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who has sent back people from the future by the mob, who he then kills for them. This is all his life pretty much consists of, other than going to parties and masking his sorrow with a different kind of drug that will make you think twice about eyedroppers. And this is all until one day, when he's out in the Kansas City fields with his white tarp, he is sent back himself 30 years from the future, played by Bruce Willis. This is also known as closing the loop. This then starts a high-speed chase where young Joe tries to hunt down old Joe out of fear of being mutilated. Not killed, mutilated, as a form of bringing the old version to a secure location where they could capture him as you see the effects wash over the old version, which is pretty gruesome, if I may so say myself, as old Joe is trying to hunt down the past version of the man who killed his wife and sent him back from the future. This is a time travel movie, but it avoids all the explaining and all the difficult talk involving time travel, which is just silly. Instead favors a much more strong, simple narrative, much more like a thriller than a sci-fi movie. And it stays in the same plane, 2044, as you shift between Joseph Gordon-Levitt, young Joe's story, and Bruce Willis's story, making for a much more linear experience. It leaves much more room for big, high-octane action sequences, some of which are done with a one-shot camera style, mostly involving Bruce Willis, almost as if he's been through these experiences before, and it gives you a much more absorbing effect. So for all of you who are like, oh, those movies are too confusing for me, I don't want to go see it, guess what? You now don't have an excuse. So, as I said, the setting is in 2044 Kansas, which instead of everything being futuristic and everybody's flying around and all these sick buildings, it takes a much more realistic look, much like Children of Men, as, poverty has grown much more affluent and resources are clearly running low. An example of which is everything seems to be powered from these solar power plates, including cars, which are crudely slapped on the hood like magnets. It gives the whole thing a much more realistic feel and kind of freaky, but it's not short of its own creativity, featuring a trait in which 10% of the population has telekinesis. So I guess avoid that drinking water. So despite all of its pomp and its flair and its effective storytelling, the movie does sag a little bit in the middle, featuring the scenes with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Emily Blunt as the mother of the son who will eventually go on to kill Bruce Willis's wife in the future. Again, it's all about telling the story, but it still feels a little flat compared to most of the movie, as well as Bruce Willis's scenes, who, despite having some spectacular action sequences, doesn't have as much meat on it as, say, the rest of the movie, and so it kind of has an effect in a negative way. But speaking of Bruce Willis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt does a supreme job of playing him in a younger self. He has that classic snark, the lift of the eyebrows, and that very soft yet intimidating way of speaking, which has made Bruce Willis a star. A very scary one at that. And it's perfect, and it's noticeable throughout the whole movie, so it's something that does stay and keep you engaged in the experience. That all being said, it has the pomp, has the simple story structure, which still is in-depth, giving a story about life and what you could do if you came back in time. What would you do? How would you treat yourself? And how you would react seeing yourself. How would that change you as a person? And how would that affect your decisions? It's a very good, simple story. Not particularly incredibly original, but still very effective. And it does have this creativity and this flair for action sequences that does put it above most sci-fi movies, and in fact, many movies this year. So that being said, I give this movie an A-. It is very good. That being said, I have some people I need to visit in the past. I'm not much bigger, though, than I was then, but I do have a car, so that should prove for something. Probably run them more. I don't know. I kind of just want to stay here now.